Flash is a show that I hold near and dear to my heart, but it's not a show that I always agree with everybody on. It wouldn't be too far off to say that I have some unpopular opinions, but one of my most crazy and unhinged opinions has got to be that I actually like the series finale of the show.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
You know, the finale loathed and hated by so many people who watched it. People claiming that it's the worst thing ever created. Yeah, I like it, and I understand. Okay, don't click off the video, okay, because I'm going to talk about it. Watch through the video and see what I have to say, and if it changes your mind, cool, and if it doesn't, thank you for watching and hearing me out. I've had so many comments about it, and I really just want to jump into why I like the series finale of The Flash. But first, here's a little trivia about The Flash. Did you know that Barry Allen needs 10,000 calories per day to maintain energy when using his super speed? And you know what? I kinda get it. When I'm buried in timelines and rough cuts, I need something to keep me going, which brings me to this video's sponsor, Uber Eats. Whether I'm tirelessly matching clips to voiceover or writing a 10-page script, Uber Eats makes it ridiculously easy to get the food that I love in a flash. You can browse tons of restaurants, including local spots, and track your orders in real time, all without leaving the couch, or in my case, the editing chair. When I'm deep into binge watching superhero shows or a week into a 3-hour video, I just tap a few buttons and get my favorite food delivered with Uber Eats. If you've never used Uber Eats before, now's the perfect time to get started. Use my code J15 to get $15 off your first order of $20 or more on Uber Eats. Just scan the QR code right here or hit the link in the description to get started. Go ahead and place your next order through Uber Eats and get your food in a flash. Thank you to Uber Eats for sponsoring this video. To understand what I'm about to tell you, I need you to believe in the impossible. Can you do that? Okay, The Flash is not a good show. I've yapped for hours about how much I love this show, and I do love it a lot, but even if you go back all the way to the beginning of it, there's not much here that I would call actually good. Maybe the first season, but outside of that, it's kind of always been a little crap. Even compared to something like Supernatural, a show that I think is actually really good, even in the later years at times, I think The Flash has always been a much worse show. But it's always been fun.
If you're gonna be a part of Team Flash, then you have to stop beating me at Fortnite!
Even in its weakest seasons, there's a feeling of whimsy that keeps me coming back, but even more so a feeling of optimism and joy. I've enjoyed storylines and ideas that I shouldn't, and I've stuck through the show with the darkest of years because of that optimism and joy. I always felt like the entire thesis of The Flash was important to me. And I think the series finale, and honestly the final season as a whole, embodies all of that, whether it be the terrible writing that we get sometimes or the genuinely optimistic and well thought out themes of the show. So I'm going to lay out a few reasons why I genuinely do enjoy the series finale of The Flash, hitting on some common complaints, but also adding why I think it works as a close to the series and honors the show's themes in ways that just completely satisfied me. So why don't we go ahead and jump in. A common complaint and criticism for this episode as a finale is that it underused Eddie Thawne as Cobalt Blue. The season wastes a ton of time before getting to him, and he's been a fan-requested villain for so long, so I understand the initial disappointment. However, for me, it worked. Part of why it worked, I think, is because I don't have much interest in seeing Eddie as a villain. The appeal of Cobalt Blue to me, at least in the context of the show, is the downfall of Eddie, and as far as I'm concerned, I think the show did a great job there. See, part of the problem that people have with the finale is I don't think they're looking at it through the lens that it was devised to be viewed through, which is as a big movie. A New World Parts 1 through 4 are genuinely paced and have acts like a big 3-hour movie. And then the actual finale in New World Part 4 echoes that by just acting like a third act. We hop immediately into the climax, and then the last 20 or so minutes of the episode is resolution to all 4 parts. It's really cool, and I think it works, but it also works for Eddie. Because the main story here isn't Cobalt Blue is evil, but it's showing the downfall of Eddie, a man who gave everything to help his friends and got nothing in return. And I think it's extremely compelling to see him fall, and you genuinely understand every move he makes. Seeing him in the Flash Museum, watching his reaction to seeing that nothing he did made a difference was really well done. It's the exact kind of stuff that I wanted to see when I knew they were bringing Eddie back. And then his scene with Barry when he finally loses himself is one of the best scenes in the entire show, in my honest opinion. Eddie is just lashing out at Barry, someone he genuinely cares for but can't help but be a little resentful of. He killed himself to stop Thawne and it didn't work. And even worse, Barry's now married to the woman he loved. It's heartbreaking. I'd crash out too. Although if you want to take a step back though, you'd see that Eddie isn't actually the villain at all. The villain is the negative speed force. It's the driving force behind everything. It sends Barry back in time just to watch his mother die again. It possesses Chillblaine. It's orchestrating the entire collapse of the timeline. It's only using Eddie as a vehicle, twisting, manipulating him to cause more harm. All throughout the show, we've watched the negative speed force twist and be used to twist people using their emotions and always creating nothing but harm. Watching it corrupt Eddie is something that I thought was really, really cool. So yeah, I don't think Eddie needed to be a villain for all 4 episodes. I think when viewed through this lens of this being a movie and all 4 episodes being part of one finale, it works perfectly well, and the downfall that we watch is really, really good. I love the climax, I love the way that Barry gets through to him. I'll talk about that more later. I understand some complaints, and I do see what people are saying when they wish that there was more of Cobalt Blue. Personally, it doesn't really bother me that much, and I really love seeing what we got. Now we have to talk about something that I don't like that much. So, how about those returning villains? Yeah, they suck. But I'm willing to talk about why I don't think they ruin the episode. You see, so many comments I get about this finale and my enjoyment of it always seem to revolve around these returning villains. And you know what? I can understand that a little bit. It's something that's always really cool to see, watching his old foes return and attempt to battle them, and when the show doesn't really do much with them, it can definitely come across as annoying. My rebuttal is simple though, I don't think these guys matter that much. The core story here is Eddie and his downfall, and trying to stop him without resorting to violence. These returning villains are nothing more than filler fan service to give the other characters something to do. And if you disagree with that idea inherently, that's entirely understandable. You're not wrong to feel that way. I just never felt like it made the episode much worse. In fact, I actually loved the opening scene of the episode. Seeing all the villains interact was really fun. Sure, it's cheesy and cringe, but what show have you been watching for the past 9 seasons? And of course, people are upset about the villains being defeated by Barry's team, but I don't mind it at all. We've set up and hyped up Team Flash for so long that if they didn't end up contributing, it'd feel like an even bigger waste of time than it was. I don't mind seeing Cecile chunk on Godspeed. I think it's actually pretty funny. Allegra taking out Thawne is whatever, and Keone taking out Zoom, I can see that being an issue, but overall, the Team Flash takedowns had their place in the episode. I think it could have been really cool to see Barry fight them all again, but he doesn't have to. These villains easily could have overshadowed Eddie, and I'm glad that they don't. The best scene of them is at the beginning, but they're dispatched as easily as I would have expected. These guys are old foes, they've been stopped before, they shouldn't really be that hard to beat. I know I'm not talking about them that much, but that's honestly just how I feel. I never felt like these guys were anything more than, oh cool, Zoom's back, or oh cool, Savitar's back. Maybe it's a little different because aside from Thawne, I don't really like Zoom or Savitar a lot. I don't think they're really well done villains. So I didn't really mind seeing them come back just to get duked on. You know, Godspeed, he's a chud anyway, so he can get duked on all he wants. Now, what about this episode really sells it for me? It's got to be the themes. In the season 8 finale of The Flash, another episode that I really love, Barry faces off against Eobard Thawne, supercharged with all of the powers of the other forces. It leads to an intense CGI-filled battle that I think is really cool, but my favorite aspect of the episode isn't the CGI or the action, it's the ending. Barry realizes that every fight he has with Thawne is always going to lead to destruction. Their hatred, the two of them battling, it'll never end with anything other than more pain. So he stops. He sits down, and he lets Thawne destroy himself. The fastest man alive slowed down. And all throughout season 9, we literally see Barry regret that. When he believes that Red Death to be another avatar of the negative speed force, he refuses to let them die as well. Barry blames himself for Thawne's death, even though it was self-inflicted. His failure to prevent it causes him grief. And I love that about him because it's very poignant and it's sad, but it's incredibly human, and it shows the best parts of Barry front and center, his love and compassion. But in doing so, the negative speed force did find a new host. It corrupted a new host, in Eddie. And the finale is focused around how to stop Eddie. Eddie's refusal to listen to reason sends him right down the path that Thawne was on, and Barry's plan isn't to let that happen at all again. What we get is, in my opinion, a really fantastic scene between Keone and Barry. Barry has been tortured and abused by the negative speed force his entire life. It's the catalyst for everything bad that's happened to him. But instead of just letting his enemy burn out, letting them die and be another victim of the endless cycle of violence of the negative speed force, Barry pleads with Eddie. Not fighting him, but trying to get through to him. Through to him in a way that he never could get through to Thawne because Eddie is inherently a better person. I love the final confrontation with the two. Cutting back to the season 1 finale is so cool. Watching as Eddie slowly recovers and stands up against the manipulation of the negative Speed Force, it's very good and very well done. The fact that they decide to work together with cohesion and harmony is so compelling, because at the end of the day, negative emotions aren't always a bad thing. It doesn't have to mean evil. You can find a new way and coexist. The cycle of violence and abuse that began the night Barry's mother died is over, and in its place is a new world born out of harmony. And I think that is the core of what makes this episode work so well for me. Today's world can feel so harsh to live in. Like nothing you do can stop the insurmountable feelings of dread. Oftentimes it's hard to even keep a positive mindset or get out of bed in the morning. And I love that this show, a show about always finding the good in people, decided to end off with one last message of that. A message of refocusing and recentering, of ending cycles of violence and pain, of believing in a new world, a better world, even if it seemed impossible. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the series finale of The Flash. I understand if I don't change anybody's opinions, and if I didn't change your opinion, let me know why you still feel the same way that you do. The episode still has a ton of things that I don't like about it. I hate the ending with Joe and Cecile. It's very cringy. There's a lot of pacing problems, but overall, it's just a very thoughtful and very thematically resonant episode of the show for me. I really, really liked it. It satisfied me as a massive fan. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave in the comments below if you want me to talk about anything else from The Flash, and I'll see you next time.